Hi, this is George Sefton, and you're listening to the official ARW.
Hello, and welcome to Monday Night Football. Sorry, the Woolcast. It's not Monday Night Football. Of course, the two experts are here rather than on Sky One, so maybe it's Monday Night Football. I'm joined by Jonathan. How you doing, mate?
Good, and for the record, it's better than Monday Night Football.
Oh, definitely, because Gary Neville's not on this show.
all is an added bonus, isn't it?
there's no mank here, so we're off to a very good start. Listen, there's only one place to start, really, isn't there? So there's no point beating around the bush. Let's go into the destruction of the Invincibles, the Unbeatables, the Avengers. Sky like to make them look extremely exciting, like they were never going to be beaten ever again. We showed them, didn't we?
It was fucking amazing, wasn't it?
Wasn't it just?
If you wanted to see the blueprints of a Klopp team, there you go. That you got your answer. The question marks. Don't get me wrong, City are a fabulous team, and we must put it before we get too much into it. For the record, we have to just acknowledge the class that City showed on and off the field afterwards,
including Pep.
And I mainly come to Pep, and I know De Bruyne had something nice on social media as well. Just a class act on and off the field, because like if that was Maureen, speaking of the Manx,
oh god, or even Arsene,
there would be. Don't worry, there would have been killing someplace if it wasn't the tea lady or the linesman, etc., etc., etc. No, but instead we got pure class, really. But anyways, enough talking about the opposition.
Do you know what though? What was interesting about City was, and somebody raised this point earlier today on Sky Sports. City played well. This was not City playing badly. City played well. City played like they've played the vast majority of this season. Same tactics, same sort of levels of energy. What slipped them up this time is Liverpool playing better and Liverpool counter-pressing and Liverpool being all over them and making them make mistakes. The two goals that we scored, which I think were goal 2 and goal 3, came in. Was it goal 2 and goal 3? It came in a short period of time. It was, wasn't it? About 9 minutes or something. Both of those goals came from counter-pressing, and we'd had an opportunity where Mane had hit the post that came from counter-pressing as well. So we rushed them into mistakes. We hurried them into mistakes, but make no mistake, City played very well. Kevin De Bruyne had a fantastic game. He was arguably one of the best players on the pitch yesterday, and we still beat them. And I think that's what's exciting. City didn't have a bad day, so Liverpool took advantage. City had a good day, and Liverpool were just better.
Now there was a... To start it off, I think this was the perfect game for us, and City were always going to be the perfect opposition, and that's a weird thing to say considering they're the runaway leaders, champions elect, the unbeatables at the time, and the Invincibles, and people were talking about all sorts going a season unbeaten, and they had literally just wiped teams away, and they had wiped they'd wiped all sort of opposition away except a team that really got in their faces and pretty much played them at their own game. And I of course, you know me being a football nerd and all that, and again, it's another shout out to Andrew Beasley, and if you're not following him, for the love of God, just follow him. Stat porn, really, but there's a lot of stats going around after the game, whether it be individual performances or team performances, but the one that really kind of summed up the game for me, and we'll speak about it a bit more here now, is City made 5 on-the-ball errors leading to shots at Anfield, the most by any team at a Premier League game this season. Pressed into it. I know that was a sweet, but that really was a summary of the game and how we pretty much the Klopp blueprints. The blueprint. What did you say? We pressed them from another planet or something along those words. But you could see, and this wasn't this like there was a lot of talk in the media after the game, as you would expect after such a high profile game, and for once a high profile game that kind of stood up to the bill, and it was, I can only imagine as a neutral watching, it must have been absolutely excellent to watch, because this was two teams going at it gung-ho. Some people were kind of saying this is two teams just let loose, as if sort of a derogative way that, this wasn't coach teams. So it was far from the contrary. This was like, I'll hone in on Liverpool because obviously we were concentrated a lot more on them, but that it was the 4-3-3, but we had you were questioning Gini in the first half. I thought he was decent in the first half. A couple of mistakes. I thought
he was better in the second. He was great in the second half.
I thought he was brilliant in the second half. And the midfield three for me, I know you questioned it before, and this was the this is the three I would have gone I predicted with. But you had Can pretty much sitting, who was boss again. I have to say, right,
it was an incredible game.
Right, and considering you factor in the reports of his illness, I believe. And he certainly wasn't at full fitness, but right from the start he was smashing into people. I think the first the one that kind of set down the marker is Sterling gets back to Robbo, I think for the only time of the game, and Can comes across and just smashes him. And then that right from the off, and then you had Gini and you had Ox bombing forward, and then you had the front three, and it wasn't just like people just going mad off pressing on their own and gung ho. This was coordinated. There was so much communication. There was so much pointing from them. You go here, you go run here now, and it was just waves and waves of constant pressure. And eventually they buckled, and that 10 minutes in the second half or so where we got goals, 2, 3, 4, was some of the best football you will see from not only from Liverpool, from any team. It was just a joy to watch, really, wasn't it?
Well, Ox had arguably his best game in a Liverpool shirt. He was fantastic yesterday. I was really impressed with him. Not just his goal. I was delighted by his words after the game as well, where he said the space just opened up in front of me, and Klopp's been telling me in training I need to shoot more, so I did. Because I think I saw a stat that he's now scored more for Liverpool than he ever scored for Arsenal or something in like a 6-month period. That's insane. That just goes to show, doesn't it? I mean, you put the lad under the right manager in the right structure, and he can come on leaps and bounds, because he does not look the same player. I'd tell you what he looks like. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain right now is playing like the player everybody knew he had the potential to be at Arsenal but never achieved. You'd see it in glimpses throughout his Arsenal career. And it wasn't him. This was clearly the fact that he was under a manager that couldn't sustain and consistently get that out of him, and a team structure that wasn't set up for him to do that. Look, I'm going to be really honest. I mean, yes, okay, I complained about Gini before the game. I said I thought we should have gone with Lallana. I still stood by that in the first half in particular. Gini had made a couple of mistakes, and my kind of attitude towards it was, well, we're clearly this is just attack versus attack. So for me, it would have been better to have Lallana, in particular way we were closing down and charging around, because Lallana's phenomenal at that. But listen, it worked. So I don't get paid to manage Liverpool. There's a reason for that.
So what you're just trying to say is you were wrong.
Yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, absolutely. Look, the results were there, so I was clearly wrong. But what was really nice to be wrong about was before the game. So when the news broke that Van Dijk wasn't going to be available, my heart sank a little bit. I was not looking forward to going into this game, and there's no point even pretending otherwise. City were on a fantastic roll. They've been playing some stunning football. Yes, okay, we're at home, and yes, we've got a grudge against them after what happened in the last game, and there needed to be a little bit of a karmic retribution, which there was. But I thought a draw would be a good result going into that game. That was genuinely the way I was thinking. I didn't think we were going to win it. I thought a draw is going to be a good result. I hoped we would win it, and I knew we can on our day, but I wasn't expecting it. So that was a really pleasant surprise. And then Liverpool being Liverpool, we're all happy. Everything feels great. We've all got a nosebleed a little bit because we don't quite know what to do with this emotion, but we're coasting against City, 4-1 up. And then suddenly all hell breaks loose, and then they get 2 goals in very quick succession, and I was shitting myself. I was genuinely shitting myself. Club. And then when Milner gave away that fucking free kick, and it's getting whipped in, and then Aguero was offside but headed it just wide of the post, my heart genuinely stopped for a second. I
was on the floor that right. I think I described it afterwards as the most Liverpool game ever.
Oh yeah. And Milner, I've got to be honest, I hope there's no cameras anywhere in my house, because Milner got called some names having given away that free kick. I can assure you, I developed Tourette's for about a 30-second period.
The funny thing is that it's harped back to what we said about Chan's performance at the start. Again, bear in mind, obviously there's the off the field stuff, but from a physical point of view, he'd been ill by all reports, and he's played a hell of a lot of football. Over Christmas, he's pretty much had to play every game because we don't have another number 6 with Hendo's injury. So he has done the hard slog of winter, the Christmas period, and he stood up and fought like a man. To be fair, and if the reports, we'll speak about it later, but if the reports are to be believed, potentially he might be at the club a little bit longer. But just to focus on his performance, I think the way you can sum up, and we spoke about this earlier in the day actually, the way you can sum up his performance best is that we lost complete control of the game when he was taken off.
He was, yeah, we absolutely did. I mean, Milner came on, and look, we can talk about Milner's performance, but I think Milner's performance was made much worse by the fact that Emre's performance had been so great in that position for the rest of that game. So Milner came on, he looked slow, he looked sluggish, he looked off the pace. I mean, look, I understand the logic behind bringing him on. You needed somebody to try and slow the game down and calm things down. The counter argument to that, of course, was that he came on into a very, very fast-paced game, and there was no way he was going to be able to keep up with it. So either one man was going to slow down the whole game, or he was going to try and keep up. And unfortunately, it was the latter. The slow man was trying to keep up with the fast game, and he made a number of mistakes. Not just the free kick he gave away. He made a number of errors. Losing his man in the box. There was loads of examples. Yep. He was just charging around the place like a lunatic because he was always half a step behind the ball, so he was stretching into tackles. He's trying to grab people as they're running past him because he's already missed the opportunity to intercept the ball. He just looked old. Yeah,
but not only that. Look, look, for all Milner's fine qualities, and he's a very, very hard worker, shrewd, great servant, great to have around the dressing room.
Absolutely.
And there is games he's brilliant in. That type of game, to be fair, is very difficult to go in because that isn't 100 miles an hour. That's 10,000 miles an hour. It's a truly mental game of football, and just two teams squeezing the shit out of each other. And even it's notable that both substitutions, Lallana and Milner, struggled to get into the game and were clearly a million miles off the way in both. Like, you can even sum up the fact that you had Lallana and Milner, who are both, you class them, they're very comfortable in the ball. They know how to pick out the right pass. They both made stupid decisions towards the end, and this is with fresh heads. So I think that kind of sums up how mental the game is, and it's always going to be difficult, and particularly then you don't have another number 6, and they're running through.
We were lucky with Milner on 2 occasions that I can think of. So the first occasion that Milner was very lucky was the free kick that he gave away. Definitely, he's lucky that didn't come to more. Because it would have been entirely his fault, because he absolutely lashed at him because he'd misplaced where the ball was. He tried to lash the ball away, again was too slow and ended up catching the player, and it was an obvious free kick and yellow card. And he did that. That was his error. The other time he was very lucky, and a lot of people won't have noticed this because they were all been sort of watching the ref's mouth hoping for him to blow the whistle. The ball gets lumped up right at the very end. Lallana and Bobby potentially are chasing it, but there's 2 players chasing it anyway, and they're both legging it. I don't think it was Bobby actually, but it was Lallana and somebody, and they're legging it towards the ball. Fullback gets the ball, heads it down. It's flying towards midfield. Milner seems pretty alone at this point in midfield.
He heads it up in the air.
And he heads it up in the air back to where 2 City players are playing. So right at that very moment that he headed that ball, the ref blew the whistle. Now, the fucking lucky he did, because they'd have broken us, and we had players that just legged it after the ball the other way, so we wouldn't have had everybody behind the ball. And again, he had all the time in the world to just take it down. Even if you take it down and just pump it into row Z where you reorganise, do something, but don't head it straight back to them. That's not in anybody's book what they want you to do. And he just wasn't watching. Again, he was just rushing. He was rushing. So, but you're right. I think that's made to look even worse by the fact that Emre had been so good. He had a good, calm, composed head. Look, and I've been known to be one of his biggest critics. Emre frustrates the life out of me. The whole Juve thing pisses me off. The fact that I don't feel like he's quite living up to his potential annoys me. The fact that there's been a few stories come out of the club about the fact that he wants to be assured Champions League football, and then we had those comments from Klopp about players need to do their part to make sure we're in the Champions League. He just seemed like he was getting a bit big for his boots, and then his attitude was annoying me. But yesterday, you can take nothing away from him. He had an absolutely phenomenal game, to the point where I was genuinely pleased when I was reading the reports this morning that it looks like he signed a contract extension. There's been a few sort of cheeky reports here and there, and then some of the players have started to
Drop a few hints.
Drop a few hints, yeah. So for those of you that haven't seen it, I think it was Dejan Lovren posted a picture of him, Chan, and somebody else, Ginny, and there was a few comments, and then Daniel Sturridge left a load of money signs, and then said "Kaching." Yeah. Alberto Moreno said something as well. I can't remember what he said.
It was just 2 money bags and 2 fists, I think. So
exactly.
Subtle hints that like the talk has been all along that despite huge interest in Juve, the club were gonna hang on, and there was always a little bit of hope that they might be able to turn the tide on it, and they kind of left it in a way. It's, look, we'll try and soften this guy out as the season goes on, and in a weird type of way, and don't even start before you do. I'm not making this point for you to have another go at him, but in a weird type of way, Henderson's lack of availability in the team has made Can have to fight up like a man. So instead of being able to have a time to sulk, he's literally have to play every game and be the only number 6 option, because there's not. You can argue you could maybe play Miller there, as we saw. You can't do that in the big game. Genie isn't great. He could drop back a bit, but it's not his best position, and Grujic doesn't look like he's getting a hand in. So you look at a lot of big dirty teams and a lot of horrible games over that Christmas period, and I'm thinking back towards the end of the Leicester game, the end of the Burnley game in particular, the 2 games I was at over Christmas, where you could see him at the end making mirage and runs up through the middle of the pitch. One was to hold out the ball and pretty much close down the Leicester attack. The one against Burnley, one's the free kick that Klavan gets the header off. These are big moves after a lot of air miles on his legs, and I've been a big critic of him because I felt like he was always a bit too inconsistent, and even at times we always used to say he's a player that's very hard to rate because he does a bit of everything, some great, some bad, but credit to him. There might have been shit going on the sidelines. Hopefully that's ended now. We can draw a line over it. We can get, because it's quite notable. Maybe in a way, him watching Klopp being so cutthroat with Coutinho in a way is like, okay, maybe this is
it's a valid point,
perhaps. But look, we won't get into it too much because look, it was a wonderful performance. But I want to make a point here, and this is more just so we can poke a bit of fun at it. In the meantime, I can't remember where I had it. I watched and listened to so much match reaction afterwards. I think as everyone else, we're just trying to suck up as much of this as we can. But some of the point is, if you were a Man City manager, why would you possibly play Raheem Sterling at Anfield? Because this is Miller, this is Flanagan, now Robertson, and the collective force of the Anfield crowd has pretty much just ran him out of games. Big games where he's come into in excellent form, and he's just been, like people say, crowd don't have an effect on the game. I beg to differ there. You see a guy that's shitting himself, and
that's nonsense as well, because not only did Guardiola say the atmosphere played a big part today, Oxlade-Chamberlain came out and once again said the crowd made a huge difference. This is the best atmosphere I've ever played in, and I feel like I'm saying that every week, which is a massive dig at Arsenal, which I find really funny.
It's always good to have a dig at Arsenal, isn't it?
But that's it. So but it's. The crowd makes a huge difference. I think the players got to take some responsibility for this personally. Now, I get that you could say, why is the manager playing him? But ultimately, he's coaching men. He's not coaching boys. You want to be able to have a conversation with these guys. Raheem Sterling has had a good season. He's played some really nice football with Manchester City. He certainly doesn't look out of place in a team that up until yesterday were unbeaten. They've been playing some lovely football, and he's been at the heart of that. So I guess as a manager, from a tactical point of view, you want to play him. You want him on the pitch. So if there's an emotional thing there, and you're slightly worried about how he's going to respond to his former fans, surely that conversation's got to be between manager and player. That's got to be, Raheem, how are you feeling about this game? If you don't want to play it, I understand, we'll put you on the bench. You maybe come on for half an hour if it's going to bother you. And that's Raheem's chance to say, I've not had a good game today since I left. They're always on my back. It's too much pressure, and no, I'd probably be best on the bench for this game. But he won't do that because he's an arrogant, cocky little shit with about 1 million kids. He's just going to say, no, I'm fine, I'm going to play, and then he goes on and he gets bullied.
Allegedly, for the record. But it flashes back into memory, and I hate giving the little fucker any credit, but there was a lot of things, unfortunately, that he did right. But you look at Whiskey Nose. What he used to do with Rooney is he would just leave him out of the games at Goodison. He would just leave him out.
Yeah.
Obviously,
that's good man management. But then again, I as much as I dislike the guy, I consider Rooney to be somebody that would have the balls and the conviction to be able to say to Fergie, if asked, how do you feel about the game there? Not great, boss. I think he'd have the balls to do that. Raheem, I don't get the impression he would because he's a snake.
I was going to say, you're going to say he's a snake. But in a weird type of way, he has... Okay, Robertson's performances recently have improved to a very, very good level.
Yep.
And, he's starting to get the credit. He's adding finishing touches to his game. But in a weird type of way, yesterday, Sterling and the crowd have helped him take him on to a complete new level. Because every time Robbo got a tackle in, there was a huge roar from the crowd. You didn't have to have the commentary on to realise who was on the ball, because you would get the boo once he gets it, and then the big cheer once Robbo tackles him and smashes him again and again. And you could see the player, like, it goes back to my point about how the atmosphere affects performances and affects game. You could see him just grow and grow. And I think he commented about it afterwards, how each time he heard a cheer from the cop about his tackle, he grew a bit, and it keeps on going. And then there's his new chant gets unveiled as well, and you can see he's loving life. And that clip, it's done the rounds completely, where he just goes pure Forrest Gump mode, where he's on the left back position, he starts squeezing, and next thing that he's charging down the keeper, and he's just he's just ran down the way and across. It was mad.
I mean, look, I know Lallana's done that in stages, but do you know who actually sprung to mind when I saw him doing that? A player in a very different position. Dirk Kuyt used to do that. He was just like the Energizer Bunny. He'd just leg it around the back four, and he'd be running at the keeper, and he'd just be trying to put people under pressure. Babel started to try and do it as well, which is how he ended up getting that goal against Arsenal, I think it was, when the keeper tried to play it and it hit his back, and pure fluke and freak goal, just looped over his back into the goal. But you've got to be there to score them. But it was, Robbo, and at one point, look, Ederson is a fucking great keeper. Mm-hmm. I'm not even going to pretend that I wouldn't bite your hand off to have Ederson as our goalkeeper. But Robertson worried him a couple of times running at him, and he hurried him, and I think one time he put it out for a throw-in, and another time he just lumped it upfield. But there was no assurance about his play or confidence in what he was doing. He was just getting rid of the ball because Robertson was scaring the crap out of him. And that's on top of having... listen, I know he's only a small lad, but it's additional weight, isn't it, running around with Raheem Sterling in your pocket? So he's... I don't know. He had a cracking game. He had such a great game, actually, because, look, Raheem hates playing at Anfield, and we hate him playing at Anfield, so the feeling's mutual.
We don't. We love him playing at Anfield, really.
He's such a turd, though, isn't he? And Robertson, he bullied him, he pressed him, he couldn't do anything creative. At one point, I was really pleased. I was laughing for Robbo because I thought that's got to be a massive... Pep Guardiola's just given you an even bigger pat on the back than Klopp is going to when he switched sides with Sane just to get him away from Robbo for a bit. I just thought that's perfect because that plays right into his hands because he's not going to stay there the whole game. They're just going to do this for 10 minutes to try and mix it up a little bit and try and give Robbo a different challenge with Sane and try Sterling's luck against Gomez. But he wasn't going to stay there the whole game. So for me, that was a huge pat on the back. If I was Robbo, I'd have been smiling my head off at that point, saying that little fucker needs a rest because he can't stand it with me. I've got him.
And just to factor in, it is transfer window, all that, and a crazy season. 8 million is turning out to be a snip, isn't it? And
isn't it just?
And the time that a lot of people question it, but it's one of these where the bosses come up trumps again. That couple of months spent on the training field exclusively learning the game, learning the system, because it is a huge difference. We spoke about it many times, but it's proven beneficial now. I know he might be accelerated into a lot more games because of the Moreno injury. Moreno, I wouldn't be surprised if he's back for the cup game. Yeah,
so this was a question I was going to ask actually, because I was thinking about this yesterday. If Moreno's almost back, Sterling's not coming back. He can fuck off. If Moreno is almost back, who's our first choice left back when they're both fit? Because Moreno started the season exceptionally well. He looked like the left back that we've been looking for years. Then he gets injured, and I think it was the first time in his Liverpool career that people were genuinely disappointed to see no Moreno on the team sheet. Robbo's come in and absolutely smashed it. If only we had this problem with the goalkeepers. It's almost like one messes up, so we put the other one in until that one messes up, and then we keep swapping them.
Yeah, as much as I loved Robbo's performances of late, and don't get me wrong, he was brilliant and he was exceptional again yesterday, and Moreno was still first choice.
You think?
In my mind, once Moreno gets to full... Now, I do think it's not going to be a case of, as we saw at the start of the season, where Moreno played every single game, I think bar one. I think there will be a little bit more interplay and interchange amongst the two, but for me, once Moreno can get back to full fitness and have game sharpness, which is easier said than done.
Yeah, at this stage of the season in particular.
Particularly where games are coming thick and fast, I think Moreno was still first choice. It's just that extra couple of percent in his final ball, the attacking third, which it's just another level to Robbo yet. Robbo, don't get me wrong, it's, everything about his performance yesterday was, guts, hard work, bombing, smashing Sterling, get up and down. But I just think Moreno understands our attacking system, our attacking movement, or particularly the front three, a little bit more yet.
My only concern about Moreno is exactly what you just said in terms of match fitness and how he's going to get it back. So at this stage of the season, we're not in all the cup competitions we once were. We're in 2 cup competitions, both of which we're now progressing in. There are no easy games in football anyway, but there are no simpler games or more convenient games to throw him into in like a low-level Carabao Cup game or whatever and just let him get a run out against Exeter for 60 minutes or whatever.
West Brom in the cup now?
But it's a cup we've got to take seriously at this stage of the season.
Yeah, but throwing your first choice left back in isn't after...
But having that kind of injury as well, I don't think we'll see him from the start in a game. I think he may well get a couple of games of half an hour here, 20 minutes there. I'd be surprised if he throws him straight in. For the reason that we've said before, we've discussed confidence. Robbo is playing well. He's playing some good football. He stepped up to the plate when you've asked him to a club that he's new to a manager that he's new to, with a formation and a system that he's new to, and he's done a good job. I just think it's detrimental to his confidence and his performance if the first thing you do, the second Moreno's declared fit, is stick him in the starting lineup.
But he also needs a bit of rest anywhere to be. He's played a hell of a lot. I know Millie played 1 game, but he's played a lot of football over Christmas. Sorry, it wasn't Millie. Gomez played left back at Burnley. But I think he started every other game apart from that. He's
played a lot of football, that's what I'm saying. I think he's going to play sort of 60 minutes in a game, 45 minutes here, 60 minutes there, and then Moreno is going to come on as a substitute until he's up to speed, to try and edge them both for different reasons. Robbo for a rest and Moreno for a runabout. But
yeah, it's a nice problem to have, though, isn't it?
Like, it's a great problem. Like I said, I've only had that problem with the goalkeepers.
Okay, well, let's speak about the goalies then. Like, Klopp came out beforehand and said, give Mignolet the biggest kick in the stones you can get.
Yeah, massively.
Which caught me by surprise because
me too, because it wasn't really prompted either. No, it was just why is so what was the idea behind the Carrier selection over Mignolet today? He felt a niggle, he felt tight, we felt it was right for this game. Any of the standard vanilla answers from the here's what to say to the press to get them to leave you alone handbook would have been fine. But he went with if he plays well in this game, he'll have a good run in the side or something along those lines. And it was kind of you didn't really need to say that, but you're right. That's a massive kick in the balls for Mignolet. And Karius, oh my days. Look, I have a problem with Karius anyway. Number 1, because I'm a very insecure male and he's a very beautiful man. Number 2, because I could never grow or wear my hair like that because I have a weird shaped head. And the fact he looks like a model kind of just drives me mad a little bit.
Is there anything apart from his physical appearance?
And he's got a 6-pack and his wife's fit. He's just got everything, hasn't he? And then he steps onto the pitch and you can see there's something there. You can see there's talent. You can see there's ability. And right now it's wasted talent. He's wasting the opportunities that he's being afforded, and I don't know why that is. I can't quite tell whether we've all just been duped a little bit and he's not as good as we were all hoping he was, or whether he's just not progressing at the rate he should be, or whether indeed he's not working as hard as he should be. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm not at Melwood. You've got to again question the goalkeeping coach. I mean, this is now the 4th or 5th goalkeeper that was better somewhere else came to work with him and miraculously became shit. This cannot be a coincidence. It's like giving a chef the best ingredients in the world, and every time he keeps burning it, eventually you've got to look at the chef instead of the carrots. But it's true, isn't it? But how long has that man been there? He's got tenure or something. I don't understand why he's still there. He's clearly not the right man for Liverpool. And that sounds really harsh, and I'm sorry, and I'll probably get some stick for that. And I know a lot of people will love him because he's been here forever. But at some point, it's got to matter. And at some point, we've got to wake up and say, it can't be all of these keepers separately have personality defects that mean that when they come to Liverpool, they become a worse player. Karius yesterday. So look, for most people know that I used to play and then I did some coaching. I was particularly involved in youth coaching. So you all teach them all the basic stuff, right? The stuff that like you laugh at Vidic for. Don't let the ball bounce. That kind of stuff. Just get rid of it. The first thing you're taught as a goalkeeper is to make yourself big, which he never seems to do. He just kind of falls into like himself on the floor, which is nuts. This positioning always annoys me. He's never in the right place on his line, in my opinion. And then the first goal he conceded yesterday, who gets beat at their near post like that? It's pretty obvious where he's putting the ball, given where all the defenders are and the fact he's being marked. There was a very, very narrow window for him to get that shot on target, and he couldn't read a very simple situation. Getting beat at your near post like that is amateur stuff, and it was embarrassing. And from a Liverpool goalkeeper, somebody that's supposedly going to be one of the best keepers in the world and was the second best sweeper keeper in the Bundesliga under Manuel Neuer, he doesn't look like it anymore.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt it was a bad mistake. But there was a number of, if you want to break the play down, there's a number of mistakes. You'd question Gomez.
Of course. Listen.
Yeah.
Gomez, and that's not the first time that very move has happened this season. That diagonal ball across the pitch just goes straight over Gomez's head and takes him out of the game.
And then it's his reaction. Like, not only did he misread the first one, he gets spun around, and even when he's Sané's running at him, he's lost, and he cuts inside him twice. Yes, of course, he should have done better. No doubt about that. But
then there's there's some of the goals he couldn't do anything about. Some of them were the second one, I think it was, maybe even the third one was at point blank range. The ball's just bounced down. You're expecting Lovren to clear it. Lovren jumps like a dying salmon. Doesn't get anywhere near the ball. Ball goes straight over his head, and it's in the goal. I can't expect him to do anything really about that one.
The second and third goals, there's nothing he could do. It's just shambolic defending.
The only thing I would say is there was another one as well where I can't remember who it was. Otamendi perhaps got the head of the crossbar.
The header of the crossbar. Yeah,
his positioning was horrendous for that as well. If that was looping in, there was not a hope in hell that Karius was getting anywhere near it.
No, not a chance. No, not in the slightest. Just trying to think back on the play like that. It's a brilliant header. It was quite unlucky. That could have changed the course of the game, really.
Oh, very much so.
But look, the way I'll describe it, obviously there's the people get bogged down by the goalkeeping coach and all that. I don't know enough. I'm not there day in day out. But the record doesn't look great. But just to concentrate on the keepers, then Mingele is not good enough. I don't care what anybody says. He just isn't good enough, and I don't know how many more times he needs to prove that. Karius at the moment doesn't look like it, but until he gets a solid run of games, and I'm talking about 10-15 games in a row, only then can we judge whether he's good enough or not.
But I think now he's going to have to get that anyway, even before we move on to Danny Ward, who clearly isn't featuring very highly in the manager's thought process, which still confuses me why you recalled him from loan if you have no intention of playing the guy. Let him get some experience somewhere else. But the Karius situation and everything else, I think for me, I was thinking this yesterday. I'm not suggesting for a second that we go back in for this player, but Pepe Reina today is better than anything we have.
Yeah, okay, well, look, I want to say one thing on Pepe Reina, because it's a bugbear in mine. Don't get me wrong, Pep was a fantastic keeper for us for a number of years. One of the best I've seen at Liverpool.
Yeah,
and
great.
He was ahead of his time in his in terms of his distribution. You remember he must have got at least 3 or 4 assists.
But the one that always reminds me is the one at Old Trafford when he loops it over Vieira's shoulder and Vieira hits it on the half volley.
That was De Sena, wasn't it?
Was it De Sena? I thought it was Vieira. I thought that one was Vieira.
And the fourth and the 4-0 or the 4-1, that was De Sena. Because he scored against Real Madrid as well.
No, I don't mean that one. Well, Vieira scored against somebody else. Then ball had come straight from Reina, straight over the top, bounced over Vieira's shoulder in front of him, and he volleyed it.
Yeah, I think that was at home. I think. Well, the one that strikes to mind me is the one for Devon and Gog against United, I think, where he pelts it over the top and then Pep runs the whole way in celebration.
Yeah, so they remember that.
Yeah. Look, we were blessed to have him. There's so many moments, so many memories. Even we've just brought it up off the cuff here, and we're debating over. Oh no, this one is better than that one, or some come to mind straight away. Yes, wonderful keeper, but go back and watch his last season, the season before we signed Mingele. He was shit. Oh
no, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely shit. He made
100%.
so many mistakes, and he needed to replace. And his head was gone at that stage. Rodgers,
and I'm not suggesting he should have stayed by his imagination. What I'm saying is the way he is performing today is better than anything that we currently have in our keeper ranks. Personally,
I can't disagree. I haven't seen a lot of Napoli, but the bits and pieces that I've seen, he still looks like his head is back on. He looks like
it is very much. So his head's clearly in the game.
Because I think that was the biggest issue at the time. There was the report of Barcelona and then having the deal, and remember the letter then with Rodgers, and then they fell out, etc., etc. Look, the club was in a horrible state at the time. But go back to Karius. Look, Mingele isn't good enough in my mind. To one side, there's no point stay with him because look, we just know it's just a broken record at this stage. Karius maybe, but we're only going to know after a run. Give him 10 games. If he fucks up, then dish him off in the summer.
He's going to get that run now anyway, because
he has to.
As a manager, you can't give Mignolet a kick in the balls and then bring him back the next game because Karius is fucked up. You can't do that because then you've just got two underconfident goalkeepers. It's not going to work. So if it sounds ridiculous to say, but if you've backed your horse, stick with it. You've come out in the press almost unprompted and said, I'm sticking with Karius, so stick with him then.
Yeah, and he also has a decent record as well. I think I saw a stat yesterday. He played against Arsenal, the Champions League games. I don't think he's lost a game, has he?
Don't know.
Somebody will correct me on that. But if he's lost any, it has. I mean, it's a very good win percentage. Put it that way. And you look at it coming up here now. The games we have coming up. You Swansea away. It's an opportunity for him to put in another. You'd be looking at a clean sheet there.
Clean sheet, yeah.
Yeah, and decent performance. West Brom in the cup. Clean sheet, decent performance, and then that's 3 games, and maybe that's settled in, because I do feel a lot of the time it is confidence with the guy, because fans have to take a little bit of responsibility there, because like the ball goes back to him. It's a designed move that some of these balls aren't humped up in the air. They're take it down and pass it out, and you've all the old ones then just fucking roar and scream and abuse, kick it away, what are you doing? Like, I don't care who you are, that has to unnerve you. And
of course,
we've seen in recent times the difference a positive atmosphere can make to our performance.
Very much so, yeah.
Like, you think back to the Leicester game. Again, it's always when you're at a game, you appreciate it a bit more, and you get to see a little bit more. Right from the off there, like the referee and the linesman, we got nothing off them. Leicester went in the early lead, and there was a real angry atmosphere, and everyone got behind the team in such a collective force and drove the team over the line. And you can see that what that makes is numbers of other examples. The atmosphere yesterday, even Everton in the cup towards the end, almost sucked the ball in for the winner. A positive energy, a positive feedback makes a hell of a lot of difference in a load of people screaming ahead of you. So I think the kid needs a bit of. He's definitely lacking in confidence. Because like, he can play. We've seen him what he can do. There is weaknesses in his game. Will they be fixed by confidence alone? I don't know. They might not be, but he has to get a run now. He has to get.
I hope so, because the goalkeeping coach isn't going to fix him.
But look, give him a run.
I agree with this, and I think the other thing about yesterday's game was Karius in goal would have looked like he had a very different game with Virgil van Dijk in front of him.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, sorry to butt in. I'm going to butt in very, very rudely, and apologies. But I think a lot of this decision from going first choice with Karius is a lot down to the factor of Van Dijk and what Van Dijk has said to to Klopp. I firmly believe that because Van Dijk will have come in, himself and Klopp will have spent, if it wasn't on the Blackpool rides, it was on the WhatsApp messages or back and forth. They would have talked about at length about this
partnerships and
and
I get that.
areas of weakness, etc., etc. And I think he's gone to him. I want carries. I want someone that's a bit better on distribution.
Look, when we complain about players and we criticise players' performances, often that's coupled with who we thought should have played instead, who would have done better. That's not the case with Karius. So there is nothing that Karius did yesterday that I think Mignolet would have done any better. So as much as I'm criticising Karius' performance, I genuinely don't think Mignolet would have been any better. So apart from maybe that one getting beat at the near post. Yeah, getting beat at the near post, because that's disgusting. But Mignolet's done that. Mignolet's done it as well.
He's done that on a number of occasions. And you factor in as well, which kind of gets hidden away, a couple of wobbles, but by and large his distribution was quite good yesterday.
Yeah,
he had the ball at his feet a lot of for a long period of time, and even when he did go long, it's pinged, it's zipped. It makes a hell of a lot of difference than Mignolet slicing and this loopy clearance up in the air, and it's just a defender's paradise. So there is if you're going to compare the two, there is aspects. The mistake is horrendous. I'm not going to defend the mistake. It shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper of Liverpool has to keep that out. But there's other aspects to his game that will go unnoticed that he did pretty well, and that's the final difference, and that's the difference between maybe the next levels. In my mind, give him to the end of the season. If he's not good enough, he's not good enough. If not, go out and spunk some of the money on a good keeper in the summer, because there's keepers there.
There are. My only fear is I hate World Cup years because everybody's prices go even crazier than usual.
But to be honest, I couldn't give a fuck about the price. Just get a good keeper in. I would spunk all.
Oh yeah, but FSG and the club will give a fuck about the price. Yeah, we've spent 75 million on a defender. There's no way that we're going to go and spend anywhere close to that money on a goalkeeper.
Yeah, but it's the likes of Alisson and that 30 million, 35 million. I think was the rumored price around that bracket. That's pittance in this day and age. It
is, right, but that's almost a starting bid, isn't it? And we're not going to be the only club interested in him. So there's no way that you get him for 30, 35 million. There's going to be a bit of a bidding war, particularly, in the summer when there's more clubs around that have got more time to have that conversation. He'll end up going for 45, 50 million comfortably.
I would spin it without an eyelid being batted, just because.
No, I agree. Listen, we've had this conversation before. In fact, the other day I mentioned about how I feel like with Keita and everybody else, we're now starting to get that spine of a squad for next season, and the gap for me that's now still a problem. Above all else is goalkeeper.
Yeah. And because you look at yesterday's performance, how good it was. You add in a keeper, Keita, Van Dijk, maybe another forward option, and that's I think I tweeted about it. That's a team fit for any team in the land to match.
We hate them, and they're playing right now, and I don't know what the score is, so I'll go and have a look at when we finish with this. But
two up.
So there you go. So look at David De Gea. I mean, I'm not actually asking for a serious answer now, but how many points has that man saved/gained for Manchester United since he's been there?
A hell of a lot.
That's the difference a good goalkeeper makes. That's the difference a great goalkeeper makes. He's not just somebody to stand there between the post and look menacing. He's winning games. He's saving their ass. He's winning them trophies. He's doing what you would want a goalkeeper to do. You want to have confidence in your goalkeeper. You want to, have confidence in your defence, but then know if they get past the defence, they're still going to get this brick wall. It almost reminds me of Petr Cech at Chelsea. There was a period where you just didn't believe you were going to score against him.
No, and it has this fear factor into opposition attackers that are coming through. Like, I don't think I'm going to score here. This guy's on fire. To answer your question.
Buffon kept it for the best part of a decade. He still kept that air about him where people...
He had that aura, didn't he?
Just terrified to go near him because it was Buffon. It's like, shit, I'm going to have to try and score against Buffon. So even if you end up one-on-one with a keeper, you're shitting yourself. You're instantly doubting yourself going, this isn't going to happen.
That element of doubt, isn't it?
It is, and that's curtains at that point. If you're one-on-one with a goalkeeper and doubt sets in, you might as well just roll the ball back to him and carry on. Because you're going to do nothing. You've got to be 100% positive. It's that whole positive affirmation stuff. You've got to know that ball is going into that net and it doesn't matter who stood in front of you. And if you've got a great keeper in front of you, like a Buffon, like De Gea, like Petr Cech used to be, like these kind of people, and look at them and say, am I scoring against this keeper? Do you reckon anybody fears Karius? Probably not. Does anybody fear Mignolet? Absolutely not.
Certainly not, no. But yeah, look, I can definitely accept the point of De Gea and a good keeper making a hell of a lot of difference. But look, City had a good keeper,
True.
In my mind, and certainly question marks over a couple of the goals.
There is, right, but there is. So you raised a really valid point. City have a good keeper, but you've just compared City's keeper in one game to De Gea overall. Compare Ederson since he's been at Manchester City, not including yesterday's game, but not just yesterday's game. They're top of the league for a reason. It's because all areas of the pitch are performing.
Oh, he's been a revolution.
And he's been an absolute rock for them at the back. He's been a fantastic goalkeeper. So yesterday he had a wobble, but it's going to happen. You're not going to be amazed in every game. And to be honest, I wouldn't say he was bad yesterday. He made some mistakes, but I wouldn't say he was bad. I said this at the top of the show, we were just better. But he's a cracking keeper. But I would settle for, I'd swap in a heartbeat. If you could say to me he's going to have a couple of bad games where he's going to get let in a load of goals and he's going to be like a broken fucking boat with a hole in the bottom, but for the rest of the season he's going to be an absolute rock, you'd take it, because we don't have that in a goalkeeper. We don't even have them to have the ability to do that for a game.
Almost definitely, and if one of the things that pleases me most about there's a lot of rumours that we're Alisson might be top of our shopping list in the summer, is himself and Edison, the City goalkeeper, are neck and neck battling for the number 1 jersey. I think for the qualifying games, Alisson has been first choice. They flipped it around a couple of friendlies, but the two of them are neck and neck. And to have someone of that level, of that stature coming into the club, mixed with the ability that he has on the floor with the ball, and you're taking us to a level that we haven't been in a long, long time, and that's what's so exciting, is that you can really see the foundations, because it's a Klopp team. There's a couple of players there that weren't his signings, but they have adapted to his ways, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And everyone, it's a collective force. Everyone's on force, and simple little things of. So I followed in the rounds there of Salah scoring his goal, and you can see Bobby pointing towards the goal, shoot. Small little things. It really feels like a collective team spirit that's well drilled, that's very, very comfortable with each other. They look very, very happy with each other. You can see a lot of emotion.
Well, look, I don't criticise this guy very often, but that's like the complete opposite of Suarez, because Suarez wanted the ball all the time, and if anybody else ever took a shot and missed, he'd go absolutely fucking ape shit. He'd be jumping up and down and shouting and screaming and looking like he's throwing his toys at the pram, which I guess is what makes him such a great striker in a way, because he's got that selfish determination which all the greats seem to have. But we're playing better as a team, and I think that's the important thing here. And even with team rotation and squad rotation, we're still keeping that team mentality and that drive and determination. There isn't one individual in that team that you'd say if you take them out, Liverpool suddenly fall over. And there was with Suarez. I remember the games where you'd hear the lineup before the game and realise that Suarez wasn't in, and you'd go, "Oh shit, who's scoring the goals?"
Mm-hmm. And Bobby has taken his game to a new level.
17 goals.
And it's not just that. I shared a stat earlier there of just it cross references and just shows that he's like in the top 3 for a number of different most tackles won, a lot of different areas. What is it here? I'll pull it up. Tackles won, interceptions, and tackles and interceptions combined, and he's out of the 2 of the sections, he's top. On the second one, he's second.
Well, just on him, Carragher said that he's the most underrated attacking player in the Premier League, and I couldn't agree more with him. You never really see him in the in the Premier League All 11, the All Stars, the Dream Team, Team of the Season, when people are taking their picks in the media. Bobby's rarely up there, if ever. And he bloody should be, because he's one of the most impressive, valuable members to a squad that we have in the Premier League. He's an incredible player.
The kid's a superstar.
He's already scored more goals this season in January than he's done in any other season in his career. I think he's now either level with or just surpassed his best ever season for Hoffenheim as well. He's just come on leaps and bounds, and that's funny, isn't it? Because he wasn't signed by Klopp, but he was a Klopp signing.
And you look at the improvement of his game. Like, it's a stat here. Simon Brudish, I think, tweeted it earlier. 7 goals and 3 assists in his last 637 minutes. 64 minutes per goal or assist. Like, this is mind-boggling levels. Like,
yeah, it's impressive.
It's that mixed in with the other stat that I gave in terms of his work rate and the way he just pulled and dragged defenders around the place. Like, the kid's an absolute superstar. And there's a lot of talk in the summer about wasn't good enough, needed a 20-goal striker, etc., etc. Now, I was always very much in the Bobby camp because I could see what he could give. He's even gone to another level than I didn't expect in terms of his finishing, etc., etc. But genuinely, I wouldn't swap him for another striker in the league.
I'd say this though, and I love Bobby, but if Aubameyang goes to Arsenal for 30 to 35 million and we aren't involved in that transfer, FSG just need to piss off now and focus on baseball. Because, the fact that guy's price is at that level anyway is just, it blows my mind. I have no idea how you're picking up Aubameyang for 35 million. But for the love of God, if he's prepared to go to Arsenal, but surely we can get that deal done.
You have to question the player's mentality there, don't you? Like, 1 minute he's off to China for a huge amount of money. Now he's been, Arsenal, for fuck's sake.
Well, that's what I mean.
Really?
Their best players are leaving. There's a reason you've got to pay attention. I can't remember who it was. I think it was on Match of the Day 2, and the question was asked. I think Danny Murphy might have answered it, actually, but the question was asked, without Ozil and without Sanchez, are Arsenal just an average team plus Jack Wilshere? And the answer is absolutely yes. They're a mid-table side. They're bang average. Arsene Wenger's destroying that club. Long may it continue. I hope he gets another 10-year contract. He's fucking brilliant. In fact, I would like him to be the first ghost manager, so even when he dies, he remains in control of that football club. But all joking aside, you look, Arsenal fans are flipping their lid, and they've got a manager who is just falling apart and not with it. And I raised the point on Twitter earlier today. I don't think our owners are that dissimilar, really. They like to sell you best players. They don't reinvest the money properly. They'll tell you, oh, look at this shiny thing over here. Look how much money we've got, and then not spend it. They'll leak names of really exciting players to the press and then never actually manage to sign them. So they're not that dissimilar. So the only changeable factor in this are the managers. We've got Jurgen Klopp and we're playing like this, and they've got Arsene Wenger and they're playing like that.
Well, you look, whatever about the owners, the managers are completely miles and miles apart.
Well, one's a dinosaur and the other one is playing modern day football.
And not only that, like, to think about, you go back a couple of months and there's Mel's question, his role with the club and should he be replaced, etc., etc. The mind boggles at times, but this team has grown. Like, as I said, this team has grown, and you look, even speaking of Bobby, like, that goal, I shared a video there earlier, but someone has taken the 2 clips. But that Fowler goal in '95, is almost a carbon copy of it. It has everything. It shows Oxlade, he's brilliant best that we didn't see at Arsenal. Drive and run, nice ball over the top. He still has a lot to go. Just fuck Stones on his arse. Always good when you see a blue like that come back to Anfield. And the finish. And then, of course,
it was stunning.
He didn't let down, and the celebration matched it. Another yellow card for a celebration. But what an amazing goal. And I had a poll out earlier. It was a good bit, just a bit of fun at lunchtime there. Actually, what was your favourite goal? And the Bobby goal has taken the lead by quite a bit, actually. So a lot of people.
It was a stunning goal,
and it sparked 10 minutes of absolute football porn.
I personally think he picked the wrong ball when he did it. I was thinking the ball was on for Mane coming down the wing so he could cross into the box. I didn't think the ball to Firmino was the right choice, but Bobby used his strength. And Stones was already off balance, having trying to won the ball, and then he was rushing back and was just 6s and 7s at that point, and there was no way he was doing that, particularly with Bobby, who's a strong player anyway. Bobby just brushed him off. Would have been very different if it was properly shoulder to shoulder. It wasn't. Stones was already trying to play catch up at this point. But what a finish as well. So what composure. So the whole thing just worked. I mean, that's the kind of thing on certain days that ball either trickles into the keeper or the defender intercepts it and it just gets played away because it almost looked like too simple a ball to play. But sometimes simplicity is beautiful. Look, I'm going to wrap up in a second, but I wanted to ask you, because everyone's been kind of messaging on Twitter and asking and all this kind of stuff. What's your gut tell you? Are we going to sign anybody else in January?
Yes.
You think so?
I think there's one more big one to come.
Do you?
Yeah, I think there has to be.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's Sanchez, who is signing for United tomorrow by all accounts.
United have got a new right back.
Yeah.
Again,
what a shithead that player is.
I was going to say, you have to question the mentality of the player.
I mean, look, so he doesn't want to go to Liverpool. And okay, look, Brendan was there at that point and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we weren't great. I
get it.
Bitterness, because we wore shit at the time. And
yeah, I get it. I mean, he could have been Suarez's replacement and all that kind of stuff, but he didn't want to be. He wanted to go to Arsenal. And the excuse that they used was that his wife wanted to be, or girlfriend wanted to be in London for shopping or something. So he goes to Arsenal. And let's be honest, if he'd have done to us what he's done to Arsenal, we'd absolutely hate his fucking guts. He's been so disrespectful to that club. He just can't be arsed. And Arsene Wenger pretty much said the same in the press conference afterwards or before the game, whatever it was, about his lack of selection of Sanchez. He was saying he expects the deal to be over soon. Player doesn't want to be here. Head's not in the right place. So what can I do? I can't play him. He's just not very professional. And he's not very professional whilst he's forcing through a move to a club that's in steady decline. Have a manager who's probably not going to be there in the summer, after the summer, with a mismatch of players, just random superstars staggered together that haven't clicked yet and aren't working well together. Certain players wanting away. De Gea's always wanting away forever, or with Real Madrid. Don't think that'll happen now. I think that ship sailed, but he'll probably still go somewhere else. And they're not doing that well in the league. They're not playing very nice style of football, but what are they doing? They're paying you 300 grand a week, so that's the place I want to sign for.
But not only that, he's the choice. You look at City up top, and Aguero looks shattered. He looks like he's played a lot of football. Jesus is injured. They don't really have another striker. He walks into that team.
He does.
He walks into a Premier League medal. Who knows what's going to happen in Europe? He gets. It's not like he's getting shit money.
No,
I think Liverpool. I think I saw the stat. Liverpool offered him 150. It's City is 2 or 250, and United is 3 or 300.
Yeah.
Is it
3? So listen, how embarrassing is that anyway? So there's 2 things there that are quite embarrassing for me. Number one, well, 3 things actually. Number one is that the player is quite clearly just in it for the money because he's chasing the money. He's going to the place that's paid in the most money, which I get to a point, but if you can't live off 200 grand a week, sack your accountant and get a better one. So that's the one thing that bothers me. Second thing that I think is embarrassing is the fact that Manchester United feel the need to go in and double the wage offering of somebody else just to try and tempt him there. How the mighty have fallen. There would have been a time that Manchester United would have offered less wages and people would have gone there because they'd have be chewing their own arm off to go and play for Manchester United. So with some of the football they were playing under Fergie, less so under Moyes. But the final thing that gets me, and this is maybe a little bit hypocritical given what I've just said about how much money United are spending. There's 3 top clubs, and I say that with a bitter taste in my mouth, but there are 3 top clubs in for this player, by all accounts. Liverpool, Manchester United, and Manchester City. And Liverpool lowballed him on the wage offer.
Yeah,
once again, how serious are you about signing a player?
But that's the question. Were we really interested in him?
Then why did we offer anything?
It's a player that's available that you could take.
Yeah, again, this is where we contradict ourselves because the conversations from Klopp has been that he doesn't do that. When he wants his man, he only wants his man, and he goes out and gets his man.
But do you think he really, really wanted? I think to me, Sanchez is a player like, yeah, okay, I'll take him if he's. But I don't agree with that because, as I said, this is the way the club would like to put out this attitude is that we don't do that. We don't just go for a player just because he's available or just because there's somebody there. We go for the ones we want and then we get them. So that whole that's what we do. But then we slap in a stupid little offer over here for Sanchez. Just seems a bit weird. What, if you look at our pay scale, I'm sure 150 is at the high end of that spectrum.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, of course.
We're not going to offer a player of that sort of attitude 300,000 because it just unsettles everything. And like we've spoke about the start there of team spirit, etc., etc., and one crazy offer like that undoes it all. I don't think Sanchez.
Yeah, but look at City though. So
City need him.
You've got 200,000. Sorry, you got £200,000 a week to go and play for City, and win the league and walk into the side, right? Or you get 150,000 a week to go to Liverpool, have to fight for your place. Do you get what I mean? There's a whole the risk is much larger for him joining us than it is for him joining City. So to compensate for that, our offer should have been better than City's, not worse.
But you have to question the mentality of that player. Would he be right for a system? No. Because I think what he tried to do with City is he tried to bluff them. He tried to play a game of poker. He said, look, the Red Scum are giving me X. Can you match it? Okay. And then by all reports, City have just pulled out and said, "Fuck you, we're not going paying." Why, dude? Like, all I can say is I hope he gets used to chasing down second balls off Lukaku.
And on that note.
Well, we were amazing yesterday, and
we
wouldn't get
fucking brilliant yesterday.
Yes, he would take a lot to get his head right. It would, because even there's another Arsenal player that we're linked to today. Don't know how much truth is in that. That's another player that caught me by surprise. And
just sounds like silly season to me. We're just listing players that we know are available.
Really? Like, is that really a Klopp player?
I mean, it might work, but I don't even think it's worth discussing because it's just paper talk. You had nothing to write, so they wrote something. As is often the case with journalists these days, they need to sell papers, so they write bollocks. Van Dijk's been with us since the summer. Caters looks great in red. Sanchez already plays for us. There's so many examples. Arda Turan's been with us for years.
I'm just waiting for Samau to be unveiled to do that Melwood Lane.
Look, I get it. You've got to sell papers and all that kind of stuff, but you get a bit sick of it. And when you hear stuff like Ozil and stuff, it's so clearly lazy journalism. You've just gone with the German link. Oh, it could happen. Klopp's German. He's German. It's just lazy.
But one thing I would, before we stop talking about it and wrap up and not forget, wonderful performance yesterday.
Incredible performance. I've watched it about 3 times so far.
You and me both. I forgot what I was going to say now. You've completely sidetracked me.
You're welcome. Couldn't have been that important anyway.
A great performance. Well, if it was coming from my mouth, it definitely wasn't important.
No, listen, and the good thing is as well, we got 8 days now between games.
Nice break.
Yeah, so got a good break. Get players rested, get everybody back, and then push on for the rest of the season. Hopefully, with a new signing coming through the door in the next 16 days left of the transfer window.
Ish, yeah,
something like that. We'll see. I mean, look, I guess the thing is, you can read one or two things into this, and some fans freak out this time of year. So if anybody's panicking listening to the show, take comfort from it, because my attitude is you could get really down about the fact we don't appear to be getting linked properly to that many players, and the in the nose don't seem to know what's going on at the minute either. You can either take that as a negative if you want, or you can take it as a fact that the club are now starting to do business behind closed doors. We're learning the lessons from our mistakes, and if you think for a second that Liverpool aren't working away quite hard in the background with some potential deals, you're very, very naive. Liverpool will absolutely be pulling out all the stops in the background. It may not happen, but they will be doing their damnedest to make sure it does, to get the right players.
We can safely say there's a hell of a lot of work going on behind the scenes on
100%.
Potential ingoings at the moment. But look, let's hope. I think one big one would be nice. One more attacking option, just for the statement,
the excitement.
That buzz as well would be nice. If it happens, look. Let's be honest, if it doesn't happen, it's probably not the end of the world, as our performance yesterday proved. I mean, look, we've got a squad that our captain doesn't get into. That tells its own story. Which one? There's 2 of them now, isn't there?
Either at this point. No, but
just one thing before we finish up. Lovren, very good game. Good game.
He had a couple of shaky moments, but a very good game overall.
Yeah, considering he's on a lot of pressure, extra pressure, the captaincy, etc., etc. In the nicest possible way, the biggest compliment he gets is nobody's talking about him. Yeah. Which is kind of sad in a way, but no,
it's not. Given the stick that Dejan Lovren has got in his Liverpool career, the fact that he's not being talked about should be taken as a massive compliment for him. Because it's rare that anybody's got anything nice to say about him. But I completely agree with you. Bar a few shaky moments yesterday in a very, very difficult game where there weren't many players that didn't have a couple of shaky moments. Dejan Lovren played a fantastic game of football yesterday.
And nice words as well afterwards, where he just described how much this meant to him, to captain Liverpool, etc., etc. And some of the celebrations were great. I think it was the Salah one in particular. No, it was the Mane one actually, down by the end line, when they're all made. I remember. Just pure, utter happiness, which is wonderful to see.
It was a great day. The last thing we'll finish with, because I just found this very funny, was Klopp went on TV with NBCSN, was it? And for those of you that haven't seen the clip, I'll share it. He asked what channel he was on and said, "Oh, is this in America? Because my boss is probably watching, jumping up and down." And then he said, there's two ways of looking at this game. You can either look at it as a football manager and pull your hair out over the tactics, or you can look at it as a football fan and say, what the fuck was that? And he said it live on air, which is just hilarious, and then seemed to justify it by saying he thought he could swear on American TV.
Yeah, which makes it even funnier.
He's just a legend. He's so funny. But, he is right. Looking at this as a football fan, as enjoyable as that was yesterday, I think every single one of us finished that game feeling like we'd played it. It was very much a what the fuck did we just watch kind of moment. We went through every range of emotion in that game. We were elated. We were almost mocking City, and then it was no, stop, no, not this again. I've seen this before. I don't want to watch it again.
And shout out as well before we finish up, lovely touch by George belting out "You Never Walk Alone" afterwards as well, and just made it a special occasion, just the perfect end to a perfect day.
Well, I was unfortunate not to be at the stadium yesterday, but I heard from those that were there that the usual mass exodus on the final whistle didn't happen. Everybody stayed where they were and sung "You Never Walk Alone" very loud and belted out, and just wanted to, just like the rest of us at home, really wanted to soak up every little bit of that atmosphere that they possibly could. And why not? Because that was an absolutely fantastic game. Look, got a week now to recover. Big games coming thick and fast. I put my teeth in. And look, I'm excited to see what's coming. Our £75 million defender wasn't even on the pitch, and we beat the Invincibles. So, fantastic result. Well done, Liverpool Football Club. It's a pleasure to be a fan on days like this.
And may I say, thank you, Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah, absolutely. That was absolutely phenomenal. So, hope you've enjoyed the show. Any questions, give us a tweet. Follow us at the official ARW, and up the red.